A lot of people think that psychology started with this guy, Sigmund Freud, but that's just wrong. So, let's begin at the beginning. Where did psychology come from?
Yes.
The first inklings of psychology came out of philosophy. So let's go back to its heyday, back in ancient Greece. Socrates developed the dialectic method, which was a way of breaking down really big questions into smaller and smaller questions in a way to pursue some sort of truth. It's a huge basis for the scientific method today. Plato, Socrates' student, said humans have a psyche, which is Greek for soul. He said that the psyche was comprised of three different parts: reason, emotion, and desire, or logos, thymos, and eros. Plato's student, Aristotle, also explored the psyche or soul, but he wanted to know what made humans different from plants or animals. He concluded that humans have intellect, but he didn't mean intellect in the modern sense, as in solving problems or being smart, but more like what today we'd call consciousness. At the same time as these philosophers doing their thing, the Greek physician Hippocrates was studying individuals with mental illness, and he concluded that these disorders resulted from physical issues with the body, rather than possession, curses, or other supernatural causes. Over in China, Buddhist and Confucian teachings talked about the differences between physical and mental realities. This was an early concept of dualism, but it didn't get expanded beyond that. They also thought that mental disorders were an imbalance of the mind with the body. In the 1st century AD, Galen, a Greek physician, philosopher, and jack-of-all-trades type, made some incredible discoveries. Through dissection of human bodies, he found that the brain and nervous system are connected to the muscles, and that's how they're controlled. He also hypothesized that the brain was the source of emotions and thoughts, and even suggested that talk therapy for psychological problems would be a good thing. I mean, talk about a guy ahead of his time. Ahead of his time. Ahmed ibn Sal al-Balkhi, a Muslim Persian scientist, developed the idea of mental health in the 9th century. He said that sickness in the mind could affect the body and vice versa. He also seemed to have developed the first definition of depression, which is pretty amazing. In the 13th century, the Polish theologian and scientist Witello wrote a surprisingly accurate concept of the subconscious. It's pretty much in line with our modern idea of the subconscious today. In the 17th century, RENÉ Descartes said, "Cogito ergo sum," I think, therefore I am. It's a simple phrase, but it showed the importance of cognition on the human experience. In an unplanned left turn away from science, Franz Joseph Gall and Johann Gaspar Spurzheim developed phrenology, a pseudoscience that says that different parts of the brain corresponded to different mental traits, such as hope, love, spirituality, greed, and a whole lot of other stuff. Phrenologists thought that they could read a person's skull to detect the sizes of these brain parts and diagnose issues. That was not true. Whoops, alright, back on track. The actual term psychology became popular in the 18th century when philosopher Christian Wolff wrote 2 books, Empirical Psychology and Rational Psychology. However, psychology was still considered part of philosophy, and it wasn't its own thing. And for a while there, people thought that maybe it would never become its own thing, including Immanuel Kant. He never thought that it would be a proper natural science because its phenomena could not be quantified, or at least not back then. Dang Kant. I can't believe he said that. However, the 19th century saw a burst of interest and new discoveries that marked the beginning of psychology as its own scientific discipline. This included Paul Broca and Carl Wernicke identifying areas of the brain responsible for language functions. This led way for Wilhelm Wundt, who started the first experimental psychology lab, the first university department of psychology, and the first professional journal dedicated to psychology in 1874 in Zürich, Germany. A year later, William James, an American physician, brought psychology to the US and offered the first psychology course at Harvard. More than anyone else, William James is responsible for the modern field of psychology. He viewed psychology as a triad, or a triangle, or a triforce, consisting of 3 parts: the clinical practice, laboratory research, and theoretical formulations. And finally, we get to Freud. In Vienna, Austria in 1890, Sigmund Freud developed psychoanalysis and starts using it on everybody. This new therapy made waves and spread quickly through Austria, Germany, France, Britain, and even America. The American Psychological Association, or APA, which is still running today, was founded soon after in 1892, but psychology was still facing an identity crisis. Traditionalists wanted to focus on introspection and human consciousness, but newcomers like behaviorist John B. Watson wanted psychology to reject the study of consciousness and only study behavior. In the end, both sides won. Today, psychology is defined as the study of mind and behavior, and that is how psychology was born. Today, psychology is a multifaceted, diverse discipline that encompasses everything from animal research to clinical therapy. After thousands of years of study, we're still trying to understand the human mind. Modern psychology is only a little over 100 years old, so who knows what else we'll discover in the next 100. Thanks for watching this episode of Micah Psych. If you think you might be interested in more psychology videos, give me a thumbs up. And if you feel so inclined, share it around too. Keep up with neurotransmissions by subscribing, and support us on Patreon if you really like what we do. Every penny gets put to really great use, and we have so much in store. Until next time, I'm Micah. Think about it.